Hey everybody, it's TR, and fooling around with this old baby, and thought a really good discussion might be the Epiphone Les Paul, which this happens to be an Epiphone Les Paul standard from, I'm going to double check, I knew it was 2008, shortly after they had moved manufacture to China. They started making Epiphone Les Pauls, from the research I did, in 1989, and if memory serves right, that sounds right, because I was around then. I remember when they first came out. I had a Gibson Les Paul. I just one, my first one, the 1982 XR2 that I bought. Story for another day. Pre-studio, meant to be entry level. Only made them a couple of years. Traded it, got rid of it. Long story short, collector's item now. Trogley did a show on one. You allowed to do that? Or is that a violent gesture? I don't know. Not meant to be a violent gesture. Anyhow, so they came out with the Epiphone Les Pauls. I wasn't impressed. I was still a snob then. Thought it had to be Gibson. It was just a lowly Epiphone. I was picking at it for how cheap it looked on the outside, but on the inside I'm like, this is nice. This is really nice. These are made in Korea. They made them in Korea for a while before they moved to China. Now, I think that you're going to think I'm horrible for this because the hierarchy goes, Korea is better than China, but the Korean-made ones, they really didn't have it down yet. The Gibson ones were substantially nicer. The pickups sounded horrible, in my opinion. I had a Korean-made SG, and the string alignment was bad. It didn't line up with the pickups correctly. So there were issues. I have several made in China Epiphones, and the QC on those is good. The bad QC on those is I did get a couple of them that needed some fret work, including this one. And the nut on this was horrible when I got it too. So let's talk about this one. And what I want to talk about, is it worth getting one of these and fixing it up? And you might be surprised at the answer. And I'll spoil it right now, is for today, no. Because Gibson / Epiphone wised up to people that were taking these and modding them, and they offer models now that come with the upgraded parts already in them. And for how expensive things are now, buying a standard Epiphone and then replacing parts, you'll end up spending more money in the end, I do believe. So this is my 2008. I've always liked the look of a black Les Paul with cream binding, which is why I picked it up. I was a sucker for it. I want to say $419 brand new, Dr. Guitar, Watertown, New York, out the door. Okay, it had the Epiphone pickups, which were the artists formerly known as the Mudbuckers. And I get that. They didn't sound that good. The ones that are on the guitars now, those Pro Buckers, and I'm not sure, I have a traditional Pro model, and I'm not sure what they're calling those now, another name, but all of the new inspired by Gibson Epiphones I have, I'm very happy with the pickups on them. I wouldn't even think to change them. Wouldn't even think. This guitar, on the other hand, in case you can't notice, doesn't have the original pickups in it. They're long gone. So, cost. This is a Seymour Duncan hot rodded set. It's a JB and a Jazz. Famous pickup combination, love them. My favorite bridge pickup probably is the Seymour Duncan JB. $130 for the set back when I bought them. It's $200 now. I mentioned the $419 for this guitar. These are going used for almost $400 still. So I don't know how that works, but that's how that works. Guitar Center wants anywhere like $360 to $400 for one of these used. Right now they have their traditional Pro version, which I said I have one on sale. It's normally a $600 guitar, and they're selling the stupid thing for $400. $20 less than I paid for this right now, and you'll have better sounding pickups. So right there's that, okay. Tuners, I changed them. I didn't need to. They come with Grovers. Grovers were fine. I put a set of Grovers on it. Yeah, I might be a little bit crazy. Okay, it's my understanding all Grovers are not created equal. There are people that will call them the fake Chinese Grovers. They're not fake Chinese Grovers. I believe they're Chinese Grovers, which is why you see them on the Made in China guitars. I believe Grover is making their cheaper tuners in China, and I think the better ones are made in Korea, if I'm not mistaken. These are the better ones. These came out of a package that said Gibson on the outside. The tuners say Grover on the back. The package said Gibson on the outside, bought it at Guitar Center. $80 set of tuners. So, you know, that was stupid. Kind of a lateral move maybe. They are the higher quality ones. Note the tulip knobs. The before mentioned Gibson Les Paul XR2 that I got rid of and wished I hadn't, it had the metal tulip knobs. So it was an homage to that guitar that I let slip away. That's why I wanted them. Also because it's different. You don't see that very often. That was like I think a late 70s, early 80s thing, those metal tulip knobs. So right there you've got stupid money in this. I put a Switchcraft toggle switch in this bad boy, you know, and at the time, it wasn't that expensive. Drop my pick, sorry. They were like 18 bucks. They're $35 now. Difference, the Epiphone switch sticks up higher, feels stiffer. I noticed Jace Allen mentioned his Gibson guitar he got that the switch didn't feel good, and it's supposed to be a Switchcraft. Switchcrafts pop real easy. The washer that holds them in doesn't stick up as high, and it's a dish. They recess down into the body, so they barely stick up above the body, less chance of hitting them by accident. The Epiphone ones stick out a mile, which is why I prefer these. At $18, I'd be changing them over all day long. At $35, I have to think hard about that. So this is a 2008. I don't remember what year I put that switch in. It wasn't that long ago. I'm going to be honest with you. It's less than 10 years ago that I replaced that switch for $15, or $18. And they're $35 now, all day long. So I don't know what to say. The StewMac ones do come with the two washers, so you can either go Gibson or Epiphone style. I may have had to do a little reaming out to make this go Gibson style. I don't remember even for sure. It's been a while. But they don't come with a switch tip. You know, you got to pay a couple dollars extra to get this, but then it allows you to get the color tip you want. So there's a modification. This bridge, it had the standard Epiphone old ABR style with the bail wire. They don't have as much travel for intonating, and a lot of these Epiphones, you would be struggling, depending on where your string action is, getting the intonation where it needed to be on the D string coming forward. So I bought this replacement from Guitar Fetish. It's a Nashville style, and works great. I love it. The pots, they're not CTS. Sorry. I put alpha pots in it because at the time I wanted to be able to use the knobs that came on it. Alpha pots from Stuart McDonald. High quality alpha pots. All alpha pots are not created equal. There is the cheap Chinese crap, and then there is the real alphas that are made in the same factory in Taiwan that the CTS are made in. Pretty much the same standards of quality, but they will have the fine knurling on the shaft and the smaller nuts, and they'll fit in the smaller holes. By the way, this was done before I had the confidence to ream the holes out for the bigger shafts. I have no problem with doing that now. Like I said, this is a 2008 guitar. Then I went ahead and did change to the speed knobs because I like speed knobs. As you can see, this is like a pet project guitar. So let's figure out what I've got in this in yesterday's dollars. $420 for the guitar, $80 to replace the tuners, which was a lateral move, not necessarily an upgrade, although it did go to the higher quality Grovers. There's $500. Let's call that switch 20 because I had to buy the tip too. 18 plus 2 for the switch is 20. So there's $520. This bridge was probably another, I'm trying to remember. Let's say $30. So let's say we're up to $550. These pots were $5 a piece back in the day. So let's say $570. Knobs were probably another 10 bucks, $580. We got to add these hot rod pickups. $680 plus 30, $710 with yesterday dollars into this, and then a set of strap locks on it, which back then were only 10. So anyway, still, we're getting up close to what one of the modern, inspired by Gibson, Les Paul Customs goes for. And if you shop and get things on sale, you can do better. And except for not having Seymour Duncan pickups and the Switchcraft toggle, if you get the inspired by and get up to the customs, you're going to have your Switchcraft. Oh, yeah, Switchcraft jack in this. You're going to have all your Switchcraft stuff coming right in it. Tuners are perfectly adequate. So, no, this wasn't worth doing. It wasn't worth doing it at all. If I put today's dollars in and you $200 for these pickups and $35 for this switch, and probably another $5 for the tip because that probably went up too. Yeah, craziness. But do I love it? Yeah. Oh, one other thing. The nut on this was plastic. The new ones come with Graphtec. And I've gone on with this before. No, they're not Tusk. They're Graphtec, what's called New Bone. It's the lowest grade of Graphtec. Tusk and Tusk XL are their more expensive. I've replaced a few nuts, so I know the difference with the costs. Anyhow, cut so poorly. The strings were a mile off. It went out of tune. It was hard to play. I had a couple of buzzy frets too. It's had a level and address, and I put a lot of work into this. This particular nut that's on here now is not a new bone. It's new and it's bone, but it's not a new bone. It's a bone nut. I put a bone nut in it. If you were to pay to have this stuff done and then add this to the cost, you'd be out of your mind crazy. Just buy one of the inspired by. The ones that are coming in around $1,000 to $1,200 are coming even with the Gibson pickups in them now. And if you bought one of these cheap ones and started putting all these parts into it, you'd be right at that price anyways. And a lot of the nicer ones even come with a case. So add $100 easily there. So I wanted to talk about that. See, I had this out giving a little bit of love the other day because, as I said, I do love it. I love everything I've done to it. I've learned a lot doing to it. I've made it so that it plays amazing, and it's one of my favorite guitars. And I love the pickups I've got in it. I love the way the black looks, even though it makes lots of fingerprints. And I just wanted to give my thoughts on if it's worth upgrading an Epiphone. And no, buy them, play them the way they are, and if you want the upgraded parts, cough up the $1,000, $1,200 to get the ones that come with those parts. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care. TR out.